So, let's talk about Bangladesh. It's a country many of us think of as pretty new, right? Forged in the 20th century. But what if I told you its story actually goes back thousands of years? It's this epic tale of incredible wealth, sweeping conquests, and just amazing resilience. So that's the big question we're going to tackle. How did this ancient land, a place that was once literally called the richest country to trade with, end up becoming one of the world's newest nations? It's a fascinating and complicated journey. All right, to really get this, we have to rewind. I'm talking way, way back, thousands of years ago. Long before the name Bangladesh even existed, this part of the world was home to some seriously sophisticated civilizations. Take a look at this. These are the Wari Betishwar ruins. Archaeologists there have found an entire urban center from the Iron Age. We're talking paved roads, advanced iron making, and get this, a port that was actively trading with the Roman Empire. So now, this was not some remote, isolated place. It was a buzzing, connected hub in the ancient world. Okay, fast forward to 326 BCE. By this point, the region is home to one of the most powerful empires around, known as the Gangaridae. And, well, they were on a collision course with probably the most famous conqueror of all time. You know Alexander the Great, right? His empire just gobbled up territory all the way to the edge of India. But that's where it stopped. Why? Well, ancient historians tell us his army heard about the Gangarati and the massive force they were assembling, and they basically said, nope, we're not doing it. They refused to go any further. Think about that. The might of this Bengali kingdom literally stopped Alexander the Great in his tracks.
Okay, let's jump way forward in time now into the medieval period. This is what many historians call Bengal's golden age, a time of incredible independence and prosperity.
We're talking about the Bengal Sultanate, which flourished from the 14th to the 16th century. And the key word here is independent. This wasn't just a province of some bigger empire. Nope, it was its own powerful kingdom. It brought the whole region together, made its own money, and turned into a huge center for global trade. And check this out. It was a sultan named Shamsuddin Ilyas Shah who first pulled the whole territory together and gave it a name that should sound pretty familiar, Bengala. This was a huge deal, a really key moment in forging a unique Bengali identity. And the wealth? Oh, it was legendary. Seriously. When European traders started showing up, they had a pretty simple way of describing it. They called it, and I quote, the richest country to trade with. It's easy to see why, with the incredible demand for its textiles, its spices, all its goods. Now, all that money didn't just sit there. It fueled a real cultural explosion. You can still see the legacy of the Sultanate today in its absolutely stunning architecture. These incredible buildings beautifully blend Islamic styles with these unique local Bengali designs. Even the famous 14th century traveler Ibn Battuta was just blown away by what he found. He wrote about Bengal in his travels, calling it a land full of abundance. He just couldn't get over how many goods there were and how affordable everything was. But as you can probably guess, this golden age of independence couldn't last forever. A really long period of foreign rule was coming, and it was going to completely change the region's destiny for hundreds of years. It didn't happen all at once. It was more like a slow erosion. First, in 1576, the Mughal Empire took over, and Bengal became their richest province. Then, in 1757, the British East India Company seized control, and that's when the region's famous industries really started to decline. And the final piece? That was in 1947, during the Partition of India. Bengal was split, and this part became East Pakistan. Its old autonomy was completely gone.
If you had to pick one single moment, one decisive turning point, it would be the Battle of Plassey in 1757, when the last independent Nawab, Siraj-ud-Dawla, was defeated by the British East India Company. That was it. That was the end of Bengal's sovereignty and the start of almost 200 years of colonial rule.
But the story doesn't end there. Not even close. After centuries of being ruled by others, things are about to take a really dramatic turn. Because in the 20th century, the people of this land decided to fight back, to reclaim their identity and build a new nation from the ground up. You see, as East Pakistan, they faced years of being pushed aside, both politically and culturally. And eventually, they reached a breaking point. In March of 1971, independence was declared, and that single act lit the fuse on a brutal but ultimately decisive war. Just think about this. 9 months. That's it.
That's how long the Bangladesh Liberation War lasted. It was an unbelievably intense, violent 9 months, but in the end, it was a fight that achieved its goal.
So in December of 1971, the war was over. And the result was the birth of a brand new, independent nation, the People's Republic of Bangladesh. After centuries, a sovereign Bengali state was finally back on the map. But, winning a war is one thing. Building a nation from scratch? That's a whole different challenge. And really, the last 50-plus years have been exactly that. A story of incredible progress, but also of really tough, persistent challenges. Those first few decades were incredibly tough. I mean, the joy of winning the war was quickly followed by some harsh realities. Major political instability, a string of military coups, and just the massive, overwhelming task of rebuilding the entire economy and society. And that brings us to today. Modern Bangladesh is really a nation of stunning contrasts. On the one hand, you have one of the fastest-growing economies on the planet. It's a global powerhouse in the garment industry, and it's taken on this huge humanitarian role by hosting hundreds of thousands of Rohingya refugees. But on the other hand, it's still wrestling with political instability, there are real human rights concerns, and it's on the front lines of climate change vulnerability. It's this two-sided reality that really defines its modern story of resilience. So when you think about it, from the ancient kingdom that stared down Alexander the Great, to the unbelievable wealth of the Sultanate, through centuries of foreign rule, and finally to a fiercely won independence, what a journey. It's a story of an identity and a strength that just refuses to quit. And so, after all these thousands of years, the big question is, what does the next chapter hold for Bangladesh?